Back to our show, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, good morning and welcome to Today in L.A., Lower Alabama. I'm Mike Amos. He's Bill Rice Jr. We're expecting calls from all over the country this morning as we start a Monday on our show.
It's another week, and it's the last day of February.
That's right, last day of February.
It only has 28 days. So people get paid on the last day of the month. Didn't have to wait until the 30th or the 31st.
Okay. Of course, I want to mention temperature today. Right now, if you step outside, you'll think it's a lot colder than it is, 48 degrees. How about 48 degrees in Troy, Alabama, 42 degrees in Kiev?
Well, everybody's taking on Kiev and the Ukraine.
You would think it was colder. It looks colder in Kiev for some reason. A lot colder.
Well, I bet it normally is. So this is kind of a warm spell for that region. I know Russia and Siberia and freezing cold.
Yes, of course, Auburn goes on the road and loses at Tennessee. Auburn, when you expected them to start playing good, is playing worse now, right now. And that old saying, are you playing good at the right time of the year? So as far as we're concerned, or as far as Auburn folks concerned, Auburn is not as...
In tournament basketball, that's all that matters. I mean, you can win your regular season, play great for 3 months, but if you're not playing well in the conference tournament and the big dance, you'll be going home soon.
That's right. And did Auburn peak too soon? Now, maybe this will be an awakening call, for Auburn to play well, start playing well. But this SEC is a strong team, a strong league, and most anybody can beat you on a given day.
Well, Auburn also lost at Tennessee in front of 20,000 fans to a good Tennessee team. So that's and they were up by 11. I checked the score, and they're leading most of the game, it seems like. So I wouldn't ride Auburn. I think Auburn's going to be fine.
Of course, Alabama's playing very well right now, blasting South Carolina 90-71, and they shoot the three about as good as anybody in the country.
Not this year.
Alabama? I mean, right now it seemed like they were shooting three pretty good,
But everybody thought coming into the year that Alabama was going to light it up from three-point again, but their three-point shooting percentage in the SEC is way down there. Who was that game? I think they played Kentucky when they lost. They hit like 2 or 3 out of 30.
I was looking at a game against South Carolina. They shot the three very well in that game, and
well, that goes back to what you said. I mean, it doesn't matter if you shot the three bad all year long. If you can suddenly get hot, the team that got hot last year at the right time was UCLA. Yeah,
you're right. Alabama hit 13 out of 33. Now that sounds like the percentages were 40%, and I would think most coaches would take that 40% from the free throw line.
Yeah, I think that's what they're looking for, really.
So it's basketball tournament play is starting this week. Troy is in Pensacola, and I hope to be down there to catch some of that. It's going to be on Saturday. It's going to start on Saturday. The boys, the men on Saturday, and the girls, the women is on Sunday. Friday. On Friday. So we'll get a look at both teams if you go to Pensacola, and of course it's a beautiful facility down there and a great place to have a tournament. Gosh, there's so much to do. We'll get Mike Amos when he calls in this morning to tell us a little bit about what it looks like to be in Pensacola during this tournament.
I got engaged in Pensacola.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yep. Bobby and Molly had a condo at the beach for a couple years, and they let us have it one weekend, and that's where I proposed to Carrie, on the balcony of that condo. The last condos on Pensacola Beach on the left.
Well, That's good. That's
kind of
good.
a strange beach, you know. It's just out there by itself and not real long, but it's a beach.
Yeah. Back to Alabama, and we were talking earlier, and I've talked to some people, had a call before we started the show, about how good this Keon Ellis is at Alabama. And he is a great three-point shooter, and then you add the other great player, Shackelford, in there with him. You know, that's two pretty good three-point
Well, then that
shooters.
guy right there sometimes gets hot.
That's right, Devon Quinterly. And you're right. They've got three very good shooters. If they're good, let's just say if they're good, if they're shooting good at the right time, they can beat most anybody. Wouldn't you say?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's no doubt Alabama could. Well, they've
You
had 3 or 4 wins over top 5 teams, so on any given game day, Alabama can beat anybody.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Of course, we got a lot to talk about today. One thing on the topics that I'm sure we're going to get to later on in our show is Phil Mickelson is losing all his corporate relationships over the Saudi comments he made recently.
Boy, you talking about backfiring. That tour might have happened, and then Phil gives one interview, which he says he thought was off the record. The reporter says, no, you knew that was on the record, and he makes some comments, and the pushback has blown up in his face and cost him endorsements, and it seems like this alternative pro league is now not going to happen.
And yeah, I hate for him to do something like this, but you know, he didn't realize that whose side he was on for some reason. You know, this has been terrible kickback for him.
Yep, exactly right. Guten Morgen.
Morning.
You know,
How you doing?
Been good this morning, thank you.
he made a comment saying, yes, the Saudi Arabians provide most of the money for this tour, proposed tour that's going to pay these top players unbelievable amounts of money. But Saudi Arabia is really a bad, bad, bad country. And he referenced that, you know, some people will remember that there was a journalist or a columnist for the Washington Post that wrote critical columns of Saudi Arabia, and he wanted to get married to a girl, and he had to go to some embassy, not in Saudi Arabia, somewhere else that was an ally of Saudi Arabia, I think, and he went there to get her a visa so they could get married. Well, when he got there was about 8 Saudi Arabians waiting for him that had flown in from Saudi Arabia. You know who ordered them to fly in. And they killed him right there on the spot and cut up his body.
Yeah, boy.
And they have never found that guy to this day.
Ooh.
And now there was a trial that nobody got to see, but pretty much everybody knows who else would have ordered that or made that happen. It was the top prince in Saudi Arabia ordered a premeditated assassination.
Okay, let's make sure we know what we're talking about this morning. I hope so.
I mean, this is a known fact. It's something everybody knows.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I just soon get on another topic.
About Mickelson.
Yeah,
we're talking about
that's just
Mickelson.
the backstory. That's what came up, though, is that people were referencing this unsolved gruesome murder. It's like Jimmy Hoffa, but even more gruesome. And
The only thing I think Mickelson's losing is his endorsements and all his sponsors is because he bashed the PGA Tour. It really had nothing to do with what he said about the Saudis thing.
yeah, might be.
That all was all fact. But in culture and society today, whatever you say, it's going to be 1,000 times worse than normal.
Well, he was saying that we can take money from people like this and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And then other people say, well, it should matter.
When it's all said and done, though, Mickelson is 51. He just won the PGA last year. I mean, he's got 6 majors. I mean, he's looking for, I think, something in between the PGA Tour and the Champions Tour. He knows every time he goes on the Champions Tour, he can win every time. And I think he kind of wants to have one last run for the last 5 years on this other tour. And he bought all these guys, all these great players, like 20 guys were supposedly going with him, and then they all backed out on him. So,
Steve, turn the lights on, please.
Well, what they were saying is...
in the long run, though, Mickelson really got, I mean, he got shafted, I feel like, all
Well, here's what they were saying. Just to, if you agreed to play on this tour, they were going to cut you a check for $20 million, $100 million. That's not purses or winnings. That's just for you agreeing to play, like people like Dustin Johnson and Phil Mickelson. We're going to get massive amounts of money before they even swung one club. Yeah. Then on top of that, they were going to get massive purses just for playing in these tournaments. Tells you how much money is some people can throw around.
Yeah, you're right.
And then Greg Norman is the one that's really been behind this creation of this alternative tour. He's been he hasn't said anything.
So, but he is siding with Greg Norman in this situation.
Yeah, he was.
Well, I hope Phil doesn't run himself and end up getting.
He'll be fine.
They won't kick him out of the
if Tiger Woods got away with what he got away with, Mickelson will be fine.
Well, that's a good
Tiger
point.
Woods did way worse than what Mickelson done, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, he's one of my favorite players, but I'm seeing a side of him I don't like, though.
Well, I mean, all these guys have huge egos. All these guys are extremely cocky. I mean, Mickelson may play 500, 600 million. I mean, it's just one of those type things. I mean, this guy was writing a book about him, and he came out and basically blasted Mickelson, and trying to destroy him. It seems like to me. I don't know.
Well, I hope he's not hasn't burned too many bridges.
Well, I tell you what, boy, Troy has got a horrible draw in the Sun Belt basketball tournament. I mean, you could not ask for how the season played out. What an amazing season it was for Coach Cross. To be now having to sit there and play South Alabama, basically in a home game in Pensacola.
Oh no!
I mean, South Alabama's got to play Arkansas Little Rock on Thursday, and this is how weird the Sun Belt tournament is. Then they get Friday off before they play Troy. So basically, they're going to have one day off, fresh legs, before they play Troy in Pensacola.
So what time will they play Troy on they'll play Troy on a Saturday if they win?
Yeah, this Saturday. Yeah, if they beat Little Rock. I mean, South Alabama's going to beat Little Rock.
Yeah.
And South Alabama beat Troy by 20 in Mobile already this season. I mean, I know Troy beat them at Troy, but man, horrible seeding. You know what happened is Troy had Georgia State come out of nowhere, and Georgia State ended up finishing third.
Yeah.
In the conference, and that really hurt Troy.
Well, Troy could have controlled its own destiny and avoided that if they would have won Friday night.
The game, they would have finished second.
All right. So Troy now will play on a Saturday. Do you know what time they would play?
Yeah, I can pull it up.
Of course,
not a good seed. It's been a bad weekend for Troy too. We lost our great secondary coach to Missouri. Al Poe's now at Missouri.
Oh no. Oh, I hate that.
And the baseball team lost 2 out of 3 to Jacksonville.
2 out of 3. Yeah.
Not Jacksonville State, Jacksonville, Florida.
University, yeah. Yeah, give us some information on that, Mike, if you can.
Softball team had a big win over number 25 Ohio State, and they were playing Virginia Tech yesterday, who was number 7 in the country. And they were supposed to play South Carolina after that, but both games, and then they getting canceled due to rain.
Oh boy, I hate that. But Troy beat Ohio State in softball. So they've already beat Ohio State. They beat Ole Miss already.
Troy is 11-2.
11-2.
Their coaches on leave. So pretty amazing what the assistant coaches are doing.
Awesome.
Of course, the tournament is going to start for Troy anyway. You look at it on a Saturday. Is that right?
That is correct.
And then the women.
That was the best basketball crowd I've seen of the year on TV. That looked so good on ESPN2. I was at a bourbon beer and butts in Long Beach, and I caught the last 3 minutes of it. But that was a huge crowd.
Yeah. But you know, one thing about that I don't like, I hate to be so critical. I don't like the way Troy's floor looks compared to others.
Oh, my goodness. We back on the tee again?
I know, not on the tee again, on the way the floor looks. It's instead of having a blonde-looking floor, they've got that sort of a gold-looking floor. You know, it's not a.
I think the floor looks fine.
Well, I think they should go ahead and color up the lanes. I don't. Maybe that's the thing. If they'll cover up the lanes with a red or black, I think it make it look better. Don't you, Rice?
Well, I hadn't paid attention to it. Now I am. You're saying paint in the lanes. Like
I don't like the way the Troy's.
It hadn't
court
jumped
looks.
out at me. Like I haven't been to games and said, "Ooh, the floor doesn't look good."
If you look at Auburn's floor is really good looking. It's more of a blonde instead of a dirty looking tan.
Well, I just love the arena. It's just I can't believe that Troy has a arena that beautiful. I'm glad I didn't go, but my daughter did, and my Frank and Elizabeth took Maggie. And,
Did they enjoy all the festivities?
They loved the Mardi Gras stuff before, and Maggie said she had a great time.
Did they have good crowds for it?
But they said that Maggie's my crowd checker, and she said they had a good crowd.
I watched the game on TV, Mike, and they had a woman. Excuse me, you're going to hate me. I don't think that women make good announcers, especially the one Troy had in that
Well,
game.
you stop me all the time when I start talking about Saudi Arabia. You better shut up.
No, I don't care. I'm telling you.
You don't need to bring that up, man.
Well, let me just say this. Let me say this.
You just say she was not great, but she did the best she could.
Well, I don't know if she did. I didn't like the way she did the game.
She probably wasn't even at the game.
Yeah, no, she wasn't. She was not at the game, Mike. Did you know that? Neither one of those. I want to say.
I feel like the announcers should have been live.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Right now.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they were at other locations.
Most of the games now, the announcers are not on site, and then it was a COVID thing.
That's what it was.
But now I bet it's for ESPN. It's a save money thing. They have learned that they can save on those airplane tickets and those hotel rooms and all the expense. And it's like the Olympics. I mean, how many American broadcast people were actually in China?
And let's be honest. You have A teams, you have your B teams, your C teams, and your D teams when it comes to play-by-play and doing games on television.
Yeah.
That might have been a D team.
That was a D team.
Probably the big games. You're right.
I mean, I thought the guy did a good job.
Female former coach that calls a lot of big-time SEC games, and she's phenomenal color. Former coach, former player.
Yeah.
So,
I've watched I remember when I first heard a woman do a football game. My eyes raised, and but now I've gotten used to it, and they're just like men. There's good ones and bad ones, but some of them are pretty good.
Well, and I think there's several real good women's announcers. I'm not saying that there are not some good ones out there. I just didn't particularly like this one that did the Troy game. Mm-hmm. She got her mind completely off of what was going on in the game and started talking about other things so much. She wasn't talking about the whole game.
Yeah, I mean, Texas State definitely deserves to win the league. I mean, just watching them, they were very athletic and could really guard.
Yeah.
Troy actually beat them by 14 or 12 points to start the season at Texas State.
Well, let me say this. Now, I want to say, though, that great player didn't play. Is that true? They had some people out with COVID. They had some people out because of the virus. No, no,
Texas State did?
Texas State did.
I don't remember that happening, but maybe it did. I'll have to go back and look at the box.
Well, let me just say this. At the end, Troy could not beat them because they shot lights out. This one guy, he wore number 5. He was strictly a great player. Do you remember his name? Boy, he was good. He was good.
The crowd was 4,438, so that's pretty huge crowd.
We did. We had a good crowd.
Yeah, the star player was number 5, Caleb Ashbury, scored 26 points.
Boy, he was
phenomenal. He was 8 for 9, 6 from 6 from the 3-point line, and 4 for 4 from the line.
I mean, the guy.
He only missed one shot the whole game.
If they guard that guy, they win the ball game.
What was the final score?
66 to 61. So
Yeah.
actually cut it to 2 with 5 minutes left.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it, if they stop him, put 2 people on him or whatever, if they stop him at all, they win the game.
Well, he scored 26 of their 66 points.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
O'Diggy was great for Troy. He had 19, and then Water, who's been out, hadn't played about 8 games. He came back with senior, scored 14.
Yeah. And our guy played, Mike.
Nobody else scored for Troy.
Our guy played, Mike. He didn't make much of a difference, but he looked good at times.
Yeah, he's coming off a concussion. Duke Miles came back and scored 6 points. He only played 23 minutes. Duke Dean had his worst game of the year. He scored 0 points in 17 minutes.
But let me say this: we got a chance to have everybody back. I think Troy matches up pretty well in this situation. I think Troy's going to be at full strength in this tournament, and I say, hey, they got a shot.
2 o'clock on Saturday, if anybody wants to go.
2 o'clock. Oh, that'll be a perfect time. You gonna pick me up? I'm gonna pick you up, or whatever.
Well, it is a tough draw, as Michael said, to have to open up with South Alabama in their backyard. That's a good team. But
I like to play people I hate, and
yeah, if you're gonna win the tournament, it's not gonna be easy. Might as well.
If you can't play well against somebody you hate, you're all right. And they are a big rival.
I lost to Arkansas Little Rock. I mean, if Troy ends up losing, in the first round, you always got to remember that game. Just like
well, Mike,
to a 7-win game.
Mike, in the second round, you're bound to have faced a pretty good team. We probably would have played Texas State again, wouldn't we? If we weren't playing South Alabama.
There's 4 teams that got by. Troy got a bye. Texas State got a bye. Georgia State got a bye, and then Appalachian State.
Yeah.
But Troy, Troy's beaten Appalachian State twice.
Yeah, I know it.
Well, what about the women? The women are the favorites to win. They won the regular season. Let's don't overlook that.
No, we're not going to. You're right.
Awesome accomplishment.
No, I don't have it. I don't have any problem. I'm not attacking the programs and everything. I am proud of what Troy's women's basketball program's done.
22-7, 13-2 in the conference. They've won 9 in a row.
It will be the team to beat. Be the team to beat in the tournament. They play their tournament. Now they start on Friday, and they're right same place in Pensacola.
Well, they're gonna have a giant target on them when you're the queen of the league.
Who is?
Troy beat Coastal Carolina on Friday by 13, or on Saturday by 13. So now Troy has won the conference, and let me see when their game will be. They will play Friday at 11:30 a.m. against the Arkansas State Coastal Carolina winner.
What's their record regular season?
22-7.
Yeah.
Say they get to the finals and lose, that would be 2 more wins, 24-7. Wouldn't they have a good case to get an at-large bid, even if they didn't win the tournament? Considering how well they did in the tournament last year.
I think that's going to help them a lot on how well they did.
Everybody seems to say no, they won't get an at-large bid, but I think they are one of the 64 best teams in America in women's basketball.
You're right.
Even if they don't win the tournament.
I'm looking at a lot of these conference brackets coming up. It's going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Troy's strength of schedule is going to help them a lot too. They played a really tough non-conference.
In the women,
I want to see the teams that they put in that are better than Troy. Even if they lose, you go through any conference and go 13-2, and a lot of these wins are blowouts, easy wins.
It looks like, I would say they're at least.
If you want to look at some of their losses, they lost at Missouri, at Duke, at Wake Forest.
That's pretty good women's program, isn't it?
Yeah.
No question about it.
And they won at Mississippi State.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying they've got it. They've got the resume to probably maybe get an at-large.
How much did they lose when they played these good teams, the named teams?
They got blown out by a few teams, but that was early in the season, kind of when they're gelling. I guess they're trying to gel with the team.
Well,
they got beat by Wake Forest by 29 and got beat by Duke by 16. Got beat by Missouri by 13. So Wake Forest just destroyed Troy. That's the worst loss of the season.
now you know, just looking at the how well you know they can do. Of course, they got a shot at winning the conference and going all the way to the big dance. But at the same time, they probably would be shoe in for a
they'll get an NIT bid.
NIT bid, don't you think?
They've already qualified for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, women's went off there.
So you know, we're gonna be in postseason regardless.
Yep. But we want to be in the NCAA.
I hope the basketball team can at least win 20 games. It's had, you know, come so close this year at 19 and 10, and I hope we can at least win one in the tournament and get to 20.
What has Auburn done, Mike? Are the other teams just playing that well, or is Auburn really?
Well, I feel like when they play another team that has a good dominant big man and a lot of height, they can match up better. See, Alabama can't match up with Auburn. They don't have the height. They don't have the post players that can play with Auburn.
So they're gonna get one shot when they said.
Tennessee's loaded with 6'10" guys. I mean, they probably got 3 or 4 of them at least, and then they can guard, and they have really quick point guards too. So I had a feeling the whole time they were going to beat Auburn.
Yeah. But now looking at the 4 seeds, it would be Alabama, maybe Auburn, Tennessee, Kentucky, and who else?
Arkansas phenomenal right now.
All right, Arkansas. Now that would be your 4. They all get a bye, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you want to hear from a crazy Arkansas star player J.D. Note is I think he's averaging 20 points a game in Arkansas. He's from a transfer portal out of Jacksonville University, out of Florida.
Oh, man.
He's a transfer portal out of Jacksonville. He's like a star player in the SEC.
Mm-hmm. They're out there, these good players.
Yeah.
At lower level schools.
But Arkansas's got a great coach, that Musselman guy. You know, he used to be a coach in the
Is that Musselman? You're right. I was wondering if that was the same one.
His dad used to be the head coach of South Alabama a lot of times.
That was his dad that had some great years. You're right.
Well, the SEC has become a really, really good basketball conference in the last couple of years.
Yeah, Alabama had their best game probably of the year. They were up by 23 at the half. And then I guess South Carolina cut it to 6, I heard, which was shocking. But then Alabama ended up winning by 19. But South Carolina been playing pretty well. So Alabama's playing their best basketball right now, which is great going into the tournament.
Alabama lives by the 3 or dies by the 3, don't you think?
Yeah, they made 13 threes.
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Who does Alabama and Auburn have left? There's 2 more games left in the regular season in the SEC.
Alabama's got Texas A&M and then a trip to LSU. I'll have to look and see who Auburn's got.
I think that was Alabama's last home game, wasn't it? Wasn't it senior night? So they got to play both.
They got one more game on Wednesday.
At Texas A&M? Yeah, at home?
No, A&M at home.
Okay, Alabama ought to win that one.
Well.
Yeah, but A&M's won, I think, 18 games. They're not horrible.
Yeah.
God, there's nobody so horrible in the SEC.
Where's that tournament going to be held, Mike?
Tampa, I think. I think I read Tampa.
Oh, not in Nashville.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Al Poe, the secondary coach for Troy, left. Coach Poe, I guess, had been at Troy under Coach Blakeney, Coach Brown, and Coach Lindsey. So he was a big part of the program, so Troy's going to have to find a secondary coach.
Let me just tell you this.
Be interesting to see if his son, who was one of Troy's last signings out of Auburn High School, will go with him to Missouri.
Probably will. I'll tell you this. Wouldn't you love to see a former Troy All-American come in here as the secondary coach?
I mean, Jeremy
Rowell.
If they could hire him, yeah.
I wish they would hire Jeremy Rowell. And, you know, another thing about Jeremy Rowell is he's a great recruiter. Mm-hmm. He's a real good recruiter. A coach, if I can get to the phone quick enough, unless he's got other people already made a decision, but wouldn't you love to think if there's a possibility we could get Jeremy Rowell back in our coaching staff?
I'll have to look and see where Jeremy is. You know, they fired the coach at Georgia Southern. He was the actual secondary coach at Georgia Southern last year. So I'm going to find out if he stayed on that staff or if he went somewhere else.
And you know,
married to a Luverne girl. I mean, great player, Troy.
That's right. made All-American at Troy. Yeah, you're right. Great player.
I guarantee you Larry Blakeney would pick him and endorse him in a heartbeat.
He'd hire him in a second.
Well, he was here for a long time. I don't know what happened.
Well,
I mean, he was the offensive coach that moved to the defensive side of the ball. It was kind of
you're right.
Troy's defense coordinator for at least 6 or 7 years.
Boy, hey, somebody get the word in coach's ears to hire Jeremy Rowell as that new secondary coach. And I'm sure he probably knows Jeremy.
He was a great quarterback that followed Kelvin Simmons. Who was a great quarterback. So for about 3 or 4 years there, Troy had some great quarterbacks.
Then after Jeremy, we had a guy named Stan Davis, wasn't too bad.
Oh, he was real good out of Albany, Georgia.
Yeah, I mean Troy had the quarterbacks back in the day, and 1AA, man, they were never hurt.
If I remember correctly, Kelvin Simmons played 2 years. He was a junior college transfer, and then his senior year, Troy lost at Marshall in the semifinals of the 1AA playoffs.
That might have been Troy's best team.
In a freezing cold day.
That's right.
We had a chance to win. So that team, I think Marshall went on to win the national championship. So Troy could have won the national championship that year.
You remember
the next year, Jeremy Rowell took over, and I think Troy ran the table in the regular season, plays Georgia Southern in the playoffs here at Memorial Stadium, and loses the heartbreaker at the last minute.
I know all about that game. That might have been one of the worst losses in Troy history right there.
That was a great run.
Because that was a great Troy team.
3-year run right there.
That was a great Troy team.
Jeremy's not on the Georgia Southern staff anymore, so I don't know.
Boy, I tell you what, Coach, he is a great coach and great recruiter. He's recruited Alabama and the junior colleges, always recruited the junior colleges real well. But also now he's got experience in Georgia now,
Yeah, no, that's what I like. I mean, they say the best football players in the country out in Georgia right now.
I tell you what, somebody get on the phone and get on the phone and say, bring our All-American back. Jeremy Rowell, it would tickle me.
I don't know if he was an All-American, but he was definitely All-Conference.
Mike, he was an All-American. He was in some poll, he was an All-American, I guarantee you. He was one of the best out that we've ever had. He's the only player to ever win 12 games. He won 12 ball games. It was 12-0 at one time.
Yeah. Of course, kind of ironic he ended up at Georgia Southern because that was the craziest loss of all time on the goal line.
Yeah, it sure was.
Still think the guy trapped the ball.
Yeah, probably if it had the cameras like we got now. That was not that game and the game Mike against UAB would both of them have to be called back. We win a game, wouldn't you think?
UAB, there's like a picture, a still shot of him literally on the 30-yard line.
sitting there.
Sitting there, on the ground. And then all of a sudden, he just reaches over 3 yards out and puts the ball over the goal line.
Well, what he does, he just backs into he's sitting there straight up, and then in a minute he turns it and doesn't even turn around. He just moves back flat.
I listened to that game on the radio.
Yeah, that was crazy. Still hate thinking about it.
I mean, UAB went down the field in about 3 plays in about 40 seconds, right?
Yeah. And what did you say about Neil Callaway?
I mean, UAB literally was down at one time in that game 30-7.
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be Larry's most heartbreaking loss.
Well, they went 99 yards with no timeouts left.
LSU is most heartbreaking when you're up 31-3 against LSU.
That's right.
Let's don't even talk about that. That still bothers me.
But if we did go over some of the heartbreak games that Troy's played in, I could name you 10 probably easily.
Well, we've named a couple, 3, right?
2 bowl games in overtime. Larry lost in double overtime to Southern Miss, and then like double or triple overtime against Central Miss.
I still remember that loss to Southern Miss. That's the game where the receiver had the first down that would have sealed the game, and then he dances backwards to try to get more yards and loses the first down.
All he had to do was just hit a knee, and the game's over. And he moved backwards and behind the line of scrimmage, and the ball went over and down.
That has to be Neil Callaway's greatest win ever at UAB. He didn't win many games at UAB, but I'll never forget being down on the, it was in Legion Field, so I was up against the fence at the very end. I think every Troy fan was screaming at the officials. And just to see the expression on his face, he had to be shocked.
Do you know what the official said is we did not have a camera on the goal line. Did not have a camera on the goal line. How crazy is that? Yeah, if you're gonna have a camera, where would you most likely put it? On the goal line.
I mean, I still remember crying all night and all the next day. I was Preston Gofford when I was a little kid.
All right, that's another game that was a.
That would have been Alabama's all-time greatest comeback if they would have given him a touchdown on that play. Because Alabama was down a lot late in that game and stormed back behind Walter Lewis.
It would have been Walter Lewis's greatest thing he ever did.
82, was that one of Bryant's last years?
No, that was probably Ray Perkins' first or second year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Boy, I don't know if I could ever stop my son from crying. He cried all the way. We were going to a Troy game that night, and he was crying at home, and he was crying at the Troy game. He was crying after the Troy game. You had your heart broken after that game, didn't you, Mike?
The sports is tough.
Yeah, I mean, let's play out the first and laugh, but I just felt like it was such a horrible fall, though.
Yeah,
You know what? Everybody remember. This will date me, but anybody over 45 will remember the ABC Wide World of Sports.
Yeah, sure.
It came on Saturday or Sunday.
Oh, yeah.
And the slogan was the thrill of victory.
And the agony of defeat.
The agony of defeat. That's it. You get both of them in sports. And isn't it funny that you kind of remember the agony of defeat ones even more than the thrill of victory ones?
Yeah. Of course, we're sort of staying away from the coverage that's been going on with the Ukraine going heads up against let's just say the whole Russian army, and have played very well so far. Hopefully, we can get some kind of relief today from that meeting, then they'll stop firing and stop this terrible, terrible conflict. We're not getting into it until you say let's get into it. Rice, what is your overall picture?
Did we mention that Lionel James passed away too? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
The train. Well, I didn't know he was sick. Lionel.
Yeah, legendary Auburn running back Lionel Little Train James passed away at 59.
I tell you what, a great guy, great person, great example of what Auburn wants in a football player.
Mm-hmm. I saw him up close when I went on a recruiting trip with Charles Bradshaw when he was being recruited his senior year in high school, and got to go down on the field before the game with Coach Dye's early years and watch the running backs and the bull in the ring hitting each other, getting ready for the game. And one of the little running backs was Lionel Little Train James, and he wasn't afraid to hit you, buddy.
Of all the
5'6", he averaged 6.14 yards per carry, for over 6 yards a carry.
that's got to be a record. I would think that'd be a record, wouldn't you think?
Fourth in school history.
Yeah. And of course, probably Bo Jackson, number one, or what?
Well, he was even better. Little Train was even better in the pros. He had an outstanding pro career for the San Diego Chargers. You know, he could return kicks. He was a great pass receiver. And then, right when they handed it to him, he broke free. And
I would think he died very prematurely. I hate that very much. Great Auburn running back.
5 years with the Chargers. He set the NFL record for all-purpose yards in a season with 2,525 in 1985.
wow.
That's amazing.
Mike, while we're on this, I've got
I know Bud loved him a lot, man.
he loved him, no question about it. Ladies and gentlemen, on a sad note, locally, Miss Eleanor Bassett, one of the great women of all times in this city, has died. And of course, she was in her late 90s. Eleanor Bassett founded Calvary Baptist Church and built and supported that church all the way to the end of her life. And everybody and anybody that knew Miss Eleanor Bassett, they knew one fine lady, one class individual, one of the great women of all time in Troy is Miss Eleanor Bassett.
Well, she made a huge difference.
And her funeral will be on Wednesday. And people have grieved and grieved over one of the most unselfish people I've ever been around in my life.
That's sad to hear, but she lived her life well. Her influence will continue for decades and decades.
Yeah, before her husband, Ewell Bassett, man, I tell you, if Ewell Bassett ever told you to be quiet back there, son, you were quiet in church. We'll be back to more of Today in L.A. after this.
Got $1? Get a new car. Got $1? Get a new truck. Just $1 gets you into a new truck or car during Dollar Days. New Ram, new Jeep, new Dodge, and Chryslers. All you need is $1 down. PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio, just off the square in Troy.
Troy Cable Security Wi-Fi doorbell camera allows you to answer the door from your smartphone when you are at home, at work, or on the go. When a visitor presses the button, Troy Cable Security sends a live video feed to your smartphone so you can see, hear, and speak to the person at your door. With the doorbell camera, you can have your porch light turn on automatically when it detects motion at night to create the appearance that someone is at home. You can view video clips so you can always know who stopped by when you are out. Troy Cable Security. You love them, protect them.
When it comes to surgery, precision is perfection. The very latest technology available ensures the best possible outcome. The Mako Robotic Arm-Assisted Surgery System is now available at Troy Regional Medical Center. Skilled orthopedic surgeon Dr. Robert L. Liljeberg and his team provide patients with faster recovery and better movement after a knee replacement surgery. When accuracy matters, you deserve the very best. Troy Regional Medical Center.
Right here, right now. Got $1? Yeah. Get a used car, truck, van, SUV, you name it. That's right. Just $1 gets you a pre-owned vehicle during Dollar Days. All you need is $1 down. PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
I'm trying to get my $1 bill out so I'll go buy a Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep, and I can buy a car. I can buy a car today by handing him a $1 bill. And hey, I want that truck over there. It's a 2000 truck. It's in great shape.
2010, whatever.
But you got a whole car lot full of these unbelievable deals going on. And hey, I'll just say this: nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody. And with that $1, I can go a long ways toward riding out of here in a beautiful new or used car truck. Premier Dodge Chrysler and Jeep.
Everybody knows Jason Gregory. I ran into two different people from Columbus when I was working the wine festival, and they all knew the Gregory.
Now let me hear this. Yeah, I did too. You reckon they were one of those guys that paid $500 to go to your wine tasting party?
Yeah, I mean it's $500 a person.
So me and my wife, it would have cost me $1,000 to go to your wine tasting party. Is that right?
That includes Friday night, bourbon, beer, and buzz, and then Saturday is the grand tasting. And then yesterday was you would enjoyed watching rose and croquet. The croquet tournament.
Oh yeah.
It's like the Stanley Cup, maybe nicer.
I'll tell you what. Don't give me a croquet stick.
Everybody was in all white playing croquet.
Oh gosh, if this was Yuppieville, USA, wasn't it?
I saw some outfits yesterday that rivaled the Churchill Downs. It was pretty amazing.
The the national tournament or what? The croquet tournament?
It's definitely the best croquet players on 38, I guess.
Daddy, listen to this. I'm trying to teach my kid how to play croquet. Why do you put your foot on the ball before you hit it? You put your foot on the ball. Have y'all ever wondered that?
Yeah, I've wondered, why do you?
Well, that's how you hit the next ball. You have to have your foot on the other ball to hold it standing.
You know,
where
it's
you
funny
hit it.
that before I went to bed last night, I was surfing around and found the old movie Heathers with Winona Ryder. It's one of my favorite movies from the late '80s, and that movie opens up with all the high school clique girls playing croquet. Yeah,
Well,
you're right. They were stepping on one of the balls before they hit it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I tell you what, that mallet thing or whatever they used to hit it with, my goodness.
Oh,
I hope a fight would never break out. It was pretty serious.
I played croquet when I was a child,
Oh,
so I think at one time I must have known the rules, and then I can remember a few people playing it in college, like John Longshore that has a radio show. I remember him and his buddies liked to play a little croquet in the front yard. But I don't know.
All I can say is it was a well done wine festival. I mean, Alice Beach does everything first class and more. I mean, it's just insane the amount of people that were there at the Bourbon Beer and Butts the other night. There was over 1,000 people there. It's just crazy.
God, and they had to pay $500 a person.
No. You paid just $250 if you went for one.
Oh, just $250 per person.
Are these charity events too? Does some of this money go?
Yeah, they're all raising money for charity. So
Yeah.
it's gold.
You see any movie stars or the celebrities?
There were some country music folks there, in and out. I mean, you see them all the time. You kind of get used to that. Well, I didn't see any of the coaches. I didn't see Sean Payton. You know, he's got a place there. I didn't see Tom Glavine this year. Tom Glavine, the brace pitcher, was there last year.
They're mentioning Sean Payton as a TV announcer because there's been a big shuffle. When you talk about this, I want to hear what y'all think about this. The big news is Troy Aikman, who has been on the Fox News Big Game, Fox telecasts for years, is switching over to Monday Night Football on ESPN.
That'll be great.
But you know, I hate to see my man go, my Florida guy go. Is he going to be gone from the broadcast?
No, the Collinsworth's on.
He's on NBC with Al Michaels.
Oh, okay. He's going to
He's
stay
the
there.
top crew for NBC, and then Troy Aikman. Who's the guy? Joe Buck. They're the top crew for Fox. So now they're speculating who is going to replace Troy Aikman, and I guess they're getting rid of the young greasy guy and the other guy that did Monday. Yeah. ESPN hadn't hit on the right crew for Monday Night Football for a long time.
Yeah, I tell you.
Goodluck makes like $16 million a year. I heard.
Who makes $16 million? Who makes that?
Joe Buck.
Joe Buck.
He doesn't do anything for me, really.
I know it. I like the Daddy as an announcer, but I can't get into Joe Buck much.
Nance, I think is one of the best. You know, he does golf, football, does it all, basketball. I think he only makes around 12. I think Buck makes more than that.
Well, Nance is a lot much better than Buck. God.
Yeah, my opinion too.
And then Troy Aikman, I enjoy him, and I think he's fine, but I don't think he's that great. Now, I will say, I was listening to National Talk Radio, the DA show, which I listen to coming in the morning. And he was talking about Aikman maybe going to Monday Night Football, but he was assessing all the crews, and he was talking his opinion that he thought Tony Romo was overrated, that he didn't do it.
I'm sure he is. Yeah.
And, I had to say, I kind of agree. He said Romo's got charisma, but he doesn't understand why so many people think Romo's the best announcer since John Madden and why he's making so much money.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. Romo was a good player, but he was not a great player. I think he only won one playoff game, and the whole time he was with the Cowboys.
Somebody get on the phone this morning and put Jeremy's name down as a possible replacement for Al Poe.
Jeremy Rall for secondary coach.
You're right, and a great recruiter too that comes with him. I tell you what, it would be one of the best as far as Trojan fans and Trojan supporters around this country. It'd be one of the best coaching openings and changes with Jeremy Rowell.
Of course, we got a lot of upsets in college basketball over the weekend. Auburn got beat by Tennessee, but the big one was Gonzaga hadn't been beaten forever. Lost at St. Mary's.
Well, Sherry, man,
And St. Mary's was 11, 12-point underdog, and they won by 10. Pretty amazing.
I wonder if they're letting John Stockton back in the games. Their most famous alumni, they banned him from going to games because he wouldn't wear a mask.
you know, if you could name a Final Four right now, I know you don't know which ways, which brackets they're going to be in and all that, but you could tell me the top 4 teams in the country. I'd like to hear them. You, Rice, too, are the top 4 teams in the country right now that you think would end up playing for the championship.
Well, it never goes according to chalk or form.
I'm sure it doesn't.
I'm going to put Auburn in there. I'm going to put Kentucky in there. And then, well, Gonzaga, but, I don't follow. I mean, it'll be somebody like
Gonzaga, that's a
Xavier
good one.
or, some big mid-major team you don't expect. I'll start studying it before I do my brackets.
Let me hear it, Mike. What?
I think Texas Tech's going to be there. They're a great defensive team and just real hard-nosed. I watched them play a few times, and, everybody's forgetting that Coach Hayes last year at Duke, and Duke ranked number 7 in the country out of their team. You've got to look out for.
Yeah, you'd almost have to look at them. You're right.
I think when it's all said and done, I think Auburn and Kentucky will at least make the Elite Eight. I think. I don't know if they'll both make the Final Four, though.
Yeah. All right. Who do you think will be a team that's going to surprise folks? Alabama?
Right now, the Final Four, I think Gonzaga is a definite. I think they'll be there, and I think possibly Arizona. I watched them the other night. They're really good.
Yeah, I've seen them. They are good. They are. No question about it.
I mean, I definitely think either Kentucky or Auburn will make the Final Four, and there's an outside chance. The way Arkansas's been playing, they might make another Elite Eight run. They went to Elite Eight last year.
Yeah.
Alabama, if they get hot, Alabama's play a Sweet 16 team.
Yeah. See, that's Alabama's the kind of team that could come in there hot shooting-wise and blow a team away. You're right.
Well, that's what UCLA did. They became the hottest team in basketball late in the season last year, and they took it all the way to the championship game. Of course, Alabama missed 16 or 17 free throws in that game?
No, let's not talk about it. Yeah.
No, that was something, wasn't it?
Or they would have been in the Final Four, probably.
And it went overtime.
Yep. UCLA got hot and played their best basketball at the end of the year, but they had a real slump in the middle of the year. But then they also won a lot of close games, including the Alabama game.
Remember, the show's brought to you by Sarah, the Southeast Alabama guest. Exactly. Of course, they've got mental for health. Going to a good doctor right now, that's a great place to go.
He's got a really good team. We never talk about them, but they're traditionally a great basketball school with Murray State.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't realize they're ranked 19th in the country. They're 28-2, 18-0 in the conference.
Wow.
Oh boy, that's pretty good.
Isn't that where Mark Godfrey came from when he came to Alabama?
Yeah, that's the team nobody wants to play. Mark Godfrey and the 2001-2002 SEC championship team got honored before the game on Saturday, and Godfrey got out there and spoke.
Oh,
he's had a stormy career since he left Alabama at the end of his.
Yeah, NCAA has been very much involved in Godfrey, especially at NC State. He's one of those guys, though, when he was at Alabama, he had it going for a while.
Yeah, he won an SEC championship, I think, a regular season championship.
Troy at Alabama on Wednesday night. You guys are not going to make that trip, are you?
Yes, we're going to make it. We've just been talking about it.
We just got through talking about it, Mike. It might be another barbecue day.
Barbecue pilgrimage.
I tell you what, after losing the last 3 or 4, I hope they pick somebody decent against Alabama, or it could get bad.
Yeah. Well, they tell us about what happened to them this weekend. We haven't heard yet.
Well, they played, I guess a pretty decent Jacksonville University team in Jacksonville, Florida, and lost 2 or 3. Troy lost the first game on Friday night. Here, let me see if I can pull up the scores real quick. All the games are pretty competitive. Troy's now 5-3 on the year. That's coming off being 4-0 to start the season. Auburn, beat Troy 13-1 on Wednesday. Troy lost the first game in Jacksonville 6-5. Won Saturday's game 5-3 and lost on Sunday
were
was
close.
there.
That's
all,
right.
All
So-
of those could have gone either way.
So they play Jacksonville at
I
Jacksonville.
would.
pretty
That's
strong.
not too shabby. I mean,
And
winning
they-
1 of 3, and
Yeah.
you were in the games in the other 2.
And they travel. I want to say it's a Wednesday night game, Mike, or is it Tuesday?
It is Wednesday at 3 o'clock, so y'all need to be at Phil Thomas Stadium by 3 o'clock. on
Yeah,
Wednesday.
and enough to watch them play, have infield and batting practice, and we go.
We got to stop at
I'll be
Jim's
wiping the barbecue off my face as much as I possibly can, and because I'm sure I'm going to get a Jim's Barbecue, one of the all-time great barbecue places in Alabama. Rice, you'd say you would have to
Let's
put it in
eat
there, wouldn't you?
inside gyms this time at a table, and so we don't have to worry about getting that
Yeah.
barbecue sauce all over.
But I
it.
just want to make sure we're going to get to the game, get the batting
We're going to have to
practice.
leave early, take our time.
Yeah.
Looks like a beautiful day. It's going to be 74 and sunny.
Yeah, so it will be sunny. Okay. I tell you this, it is cool out there this morning, so you better wear a sweater or.
You remember?
or-
I remember we
or
went last
jacket.
time. Mike had his mask, and I didn't have my mask since it was outside. But they had all the seats, the chairback seats, about
Yeah, you
every
remember that? Yeah.
70% of them were pulled up, and they
Yeah.
had little plastic wraps around them.
I remember that.
And so I found one that was a plastic wrap had broken, and so I sat in it. I was 2 seats over from Mike, and the COVID proctors came and got me and
God.
said, "You can't sit there. You can't sit there." You know, I'm well, this is my buddy. I want to sit next to him. No, you cannot sit there.
I know it. It was unreal.
So I had to skip down a couple rows and couldn't sit next
If
to
you
your
remember,
father.
though, some other people came by. Some of the guys came by and said, "Listen, don't believe it. Don't listen to everything that guy says." So we were able to sit there, but I
That's like
remember that
I
well.
read a column about life in New York City. It was in the New York Post. Some guy had some friends that got him tickets to the Harry Potter play that were real expensive, and they went and you can buy beer at the a play, even at the Shakespeare Festival in Montgomery. And you had to have a mask. You had to have had your vaccine, the vaccine passports to get in. But they said that he was drinking. You can't drink your beer or your wine with your mask, so they let you take your mask off when you drink it. And he said that there were people in the aisles that were watching folks, and they got reprimanded because they said you're not putting your mask on fast enough after you.
Oh, are you serious?
So it's the sipping
God.
police. And so there was almost a huge scene. He said the whole play he was watching, and there was a proctor with her hands on her hips, staring at him from the aisle, looking at him to make sure that he put his mask on quick enough after he took a sip of beer.
Our show is brought to you by Sarah today.
Speaking of weather, y'all ready for this? On Friday, it's going to be a high of 82 Saturday, high 84 Sunday, 87 Monday, 87.
Are you serious,
No,
man?
my air conditioner's not
Now,
working.
Mike, I don't have my schedule here. Now, Troy plays Alabama at Alabama on Wednesday. Now, who do they have after that, Mike? Who we got?
They got a 3-game series against a really good program out of Atlanta, Kennesaw State.
Yeah, very good program out of Atlanta, Kennesaw. That'll be a good series.
Kennesaw State, I don't know if you'll remember, but about 3 years ago, they beat Alabama in NCAA Regional in Tuscaloosa.
Yeah.
And went to the Super Series.
Oh, speaking of masks, I got big news, Mike.
Yes.
The CDC has changed their guidance. The CDC gives us all our guidance. They tell us what we got to do, and they have said that masks are no longer required inside. If you have COVID numbers that are, not too scary in your town or county, and so Troy and Pike County are one of those counties. So as of this morning, the kids that have been wearing masks for months and months and months, my kids included, and teachers, do not have to wear a mask.
Let me tell you this. I went to church.
That is great to hear. I can't believe kids would keep a mask on all day. I know mine couldn't make it maybe 5 minutes.
I went to church yesterday at the beach, and I did not see a single mask. And there was probably 300, 400 people there.
I've looked at First Methodist Church, and you might see 1 or 2 out of about 300.
Y'all came down to the beach and didn't even try to come see your grandkids? What's wrong with you?
Well, yeah, I don't know. We always look for an invitation. I'm sure you were busy up there with all your yuppie friends. Mike, I didn't have the proper attire.
We had our mother-in-law here. Y'all could come out and help her out.
I know it. We'd love to.
She was taking care of the girls. I didn't even know y'all came.
Are you serious? Well, we do.
Mom never told me.
Well,
I was the beach down there. The water down here was absolutely pristine.
It was gorgeous. It was a beautiful weekend. It really was.
Probably a great time to go right now.
And I had some good seafood. Went to and got some huge oysters. I like them on a half shell, but those are the biggest oysters I've seen lately.
Now hey, Michael, you're getting ready to get, and Mike too. Y'all getting ready to get spring break.
I know.
Traffic. I mean,
spring break's already started. Down here, because of Mardi Gras being so big, all the people from Louisiana get 2 or 3 days off of school.
Oh,
so
boy.
Tons of people that had the holiday on that Monday and they just stayed. I mean, pretty much everybody just stayed for Valentine's Day.
I saw some Tennessee people, so I reckon they're starting their spring break.
Spring break will start officially this weekend down here for sure.
Went ahead and bought me some more lottery tickets and.
Oh, I want to win it.
And.
I was listening to the radio the other day. There was a guy somewhere in Florida, I can't remember where it was. He had a scratch-off ticket, and he won $10 million 3 years ago. And this is a true story. He got another scratch-off ticket and won another $10 million like a few weeks ago.
Oh gosh!
What are the odds?
What are the chances that you could win $10 million
off of a scratch-off? Isn't that unreal?
Well, I mean, it's astronomical. I mean, the odds of him winning one time are 1 in many millions, and then to turn around and do it 1 in many millions again.
And I've scratched off so many times and not won. I won one time. I think I won $500. That's the most I've ever won on a scratch-off. But I don't even try anymore because the odds seem like they're so much against you.
Well, what they say is if you buy a scratch-off at the beginning of the year, like they're really good, like January through March is what people tell me. And then after that, like the chances of winning just go down like dramatically is what I've heard.
So if you're going to buy a scratch-off, it's a good time to do it then, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a good time to do it this time of year.
You folks in Sampson better crank up your truck in your car and go buy you something. The Sampsons would be they could buy them awfully easy today.
Well,
it's amazing down here how many people play with scratch off. Like I'm always shocked because I don't play them that much, but every time I go to any kind of convenience store, any kind of little grocery store, and there's just lines of people trying to get scratch off cards.
What's the difference between a scratch off and the regular one?
Well, I mean, on the scratch off, you got more chances to win than the lottery. I mean, the lottery, basically, the Florida lottery, there is 2 different winning numbers now. There's like a $1 million jackpot, and then there's like a $250,000 jackpot. So you do have 2 chances to win on Florida lottery now. They changed that about a year ago.
Okay.
Now tickets are $2 instead of $1. But the scratch offs, you got a chance to win on 20 different, scratches.
Yeah.
It's kind of the way it works. You got to match them to the winning numbers.
Yeah. Of course, we got golf, and who in the heck have you ever heard of Sepp Straker? Who has ever heard of Sepp Straker? Well, all he did was win the.
Golf at Georgia.
Well, another
of course
Georgia
he did.
golfer.
They all played at Georgia.
But Mike, have you ever heard of him prior to this week? Tell me the truth.
Yeah, I heard about it. He led the Olympics in the first round of the Olympics this year. So they did talk about him a lot.
Straker was in a group of 5 shots back to start
Well,
the
he
day.
must be pretty good if he was picked to represent America on the Olympic team.
And he slowly.
Yeah, he actually is from another country, but that's how he was able to represent.
Wait, he's not an American. Is he not American?
No.
Oh God.
Well, the name like Straker, I guess.
I don't like. I want Americans to win these golf tournaments. Isn't that terrible? I don't want these foreigners winning these golf tournaments.
Well, America finally won the Ryder Cup.
It's one of those things where a lot of these guys come overseas and play in the U.S. in college.
Yeah. So where is he from? Do you know that? I like that name, Sepp Straker.
I'll have to pull it up and look.
Straker. He's a big old strong looking guy. Look at those biceps.
Daniel Berger was dominating the tournament all.
He led by 6. I want to say at one time he led by 6.
He lost it.
Yeah.
It happens. I would lose
Look,
it.
Yeah. Sorry about that, but I'm showing you somebody that choked.
Yeah.
Because he should not have ever.
Those little
lost
3-foot
that
putts, or get where they look like they're 10 feet putts, don't they?
You know, hey.
Went to the University of Georgia. He's from born and raised in, born and lived, I think, 10 or 12 years old in Vienna, Austria.
That's where he's from. It's Austria.
Austria.
The guy that wins the golf tournament is from Austria.
Where did he move?
Whoa.
There's golfers all over the world.
No, not in Austria though,
You don't
Mike.
hear about any from Austria though.
Mike, the mountains. It's too many mountains to be.
That's where the Sound of Music was.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm being funny here, but I just the guy from Austria should not have won that golf tournament. It just don't sound right.
I'm boycotting Austria. They have got by law that they passed the most stringent vaccine mandates and vaccine passports in the world. You can't eat at a restaurant in Austria unless you've been vaccinated.
Oh man!
And they'll arrest you, and if you don't pay your fine, it could get up to $4,000.
This is in Austria.
Yeah.
Whoa, man!
They fine you for not getting your shot. So
I wonder, has that rule enhanced tourism or hurt tourism?
it's like Australia's about the same way. And so anyway, they can do it. That's their country. That they passed it legally. That's their law. But Bill Rush Jr.
Nick, what do you think about it? I know
I ain't
Nick's
going to
up there.
Austria.
What do you think about it, Nick? My good friend out there.
I saw Nick.
Dad, this makes you feel better. Straka and his family moved to Valdosta, Georgia, when he was 14.
Oh, okay, good.
So that's where he picked up golf.
So he even looked at possibly going to Valdosta State, did he?
He has a twin brother named Sam that also played on the University of Georgia golf team as well.
Sam Strader.
That's his second, his first win on the PGA Tour, and then he won a medal on the Corn Ferry Tour. So
Hey, are y'all looking at the same picture I am? He's a big, strong guy.
Yeah,
he's a guy that can come in there and fight. He's a guy that can come in and fight.
6'3", 240.
He looks like an
6'3",
athlete.
240. Don't tell me big boys can't win in golf.
Some of these golfers nowadays look like real athletes. They don't look like the golfers of Jack Nicklaus's heyday.
In fact, Mike, I saw a guy.
Georgia's golf program is incredible. I don't know how they have won more national championships.
Yeah.
They got so many. They got more golfers on tour than anybody.
Yeah. You know, I'm gonna bring get up with my buddy and get him to let us know how the University of Alabama golf team is faring now, and Auburn's golf team's faring.
What, Hunter is an assistant coach at Alabama?
Yeah. Talking about Hunter Hansen, yeah.
David Flood's third son told me that when I met him at a wedding in New Orleans.
Told you what now?
With Hunter.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Hunter was coaching on the Alabama golf team.
Yeah, okay.
He played. Davis Love's son played at Alabama, but
Another guy that once lived on Crow Hill. Another guy that once lived on Crow Hill was an outstanding college golfer.
Won a national championship.
Yeah.
no, I don't think he was on that team that won the national. He was right before that, but he was on some great teams and got the program turned.
I thought they won 2 years in a row.
I don't think he was on the. That was our boy that Justin Thomas was on that team.
And Trey Mullinex, Bobby White was the great star player out of Mobile, but he was one that shot 57 in high school. And then there's another great player that was on the tour last year, lost his card, Bobby Shelton.
Yeah.
Robbie Shelton.
Who's that little short guy that was so good that was in a car wreck that he was on that team too?
Bud Colley.
Yeah.
I guess he's got medical issues from that horrible car wreck he was in.
He was really, really good, a star. But Hunter got that program turned around. I remember him because he went to Montgomery Academy. He was in my niece's Chapman's class and had a great career at Alabama. And you know, what I'll never forget about Hunter is he qualified for the U.S. Open and made the cut. And actually, in the second round, had the low round of the entire field in the U.S. Open at Pebble Beach. I think ended up finishing like 30th or 35th or 40th in the U.S. Open.
Yeah, I remember that. That was phenomenal. I can't remember what year that was.
He was just out of college, or might have been even in college, or his first or second year out of college. But yeah, a kid from his family grew up in Brundage. Then he lived in Troy, and his dad's business was in Troy, and then he went to school at Montgomery Academy. And in Alabama, you know, low round of the day with the best golfers in the world.
I want to mention Circle Insurance this morning. Sam Judah in Ozark, and I know they're still excited about their Ozark Eagles of Carroll High School are heading to the Final Four in high school basketball this week, and along with Charles Henderson High School girls, they're on their way this week to play for the state championship. Good luck to the Carroll High Eagles and to the girls at Charles Henderson,
and to
also
Enterprise and Brantley and Highland Home.
You're right, Brantley and Highland Home, all of those. And of course, if you're listening or watching this morning, Tucker Gilchrist, ladies and gentlemen, Friday was Be Kind to Tucker Gilchrist Day, as we recognize the great shooter out of Brantley, pulled him away and won at the buzzer with a three-pointer by Tucker Gilchrist, the guy that is coming to Troy to play football.
Quarterback.
And, of course, a great young quarterback. He's a great young guard, forward shooter guard in basketball. Great shortstop and pitcher in baseball. And, again, a great golfer in his own right.
Four sports star.
Four sports star. You know what? I might put him against any four stars in Alabama.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you say that? Wouldn't
As
you say?
an all-around athlete, no, you name me somebody that can match that.
Yeah, exactly. Tell me a better four-star athlete than Tucker Gilchrist from Brantley High School, and I'll say more power to you.
I can only remember one that played all three sports at Charles Henderson.
Yeah.
Well, there had to be more.
But Charles Henderson never really had a golf team, though, much.
I'll tell you who it was, and it'll surprise you. Brent Snyder. Remember Brent Snyder?
I should.
He was a class ahead of me. He was in Emory Ellis's class and John Clark's class.
Gosh, I should.
He played football, basketball, and baseball.
Brent
Lettered. He didn't play football all through, but he played his last year or two. So he started as outside linebacker in football. He was a good baseball player, and he was on the basketball team. He wasn't a starter, but he played.
But we're talking about playing.
I'm saying, but he lettered and was on the varsity. I can think of plenty of people that played in two sports.
See, when golf comes in, it sort of cuts a lot of them off, because you in four sports, most of the time you got to have played golf, and it's hard to find them that excelled in golf,
Well, it's all around athletes. You could probably think of some in your era that played. You played all three sports.
Yeah, but I was not. I was just ordinary. I didn't play much.
But you played them. You made the team.
Well, I got my picture taken in my annual. Being on the Johnny Till and I had our pictures made of being on the golf team.
I played all three of them growing up, but I wasn't good enough to make the varsity in basketball or baseball.
Name me some four-star athletes, and we'd love to recognize them today. Here comes one right here. Let's see.
Good morning. You're on Today in L.A. Hello. You're on Today in L.A.
How y'all doing?
Good morning,
Well,
Will. How you doing, friend? From Ozark,
Yeah,
Alabama.
It's 8:15. Do we gotta go?
I guess they'll tell us.
Well,
when.
it is time for the Wiley Sanders Truck Lines show, brought to you by Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, the best truck line you'll find anywhere in Alabama or even any state. Great people at Wiley Sanders Truck Lines, and our show can be brought to you each and every week, right here on the Troy Cable
Well, let's keep
Network
going
now.
until
Since
they're not here
5,
yet.
I thought y'all went to 8:30.
not on Mondays.
Oh, okay.
Halstead's not here